Hi, my name is Sammy Joe, and I graduated from Purdue University in 2015 with a degree in psychology. Currently, I try to run at least 6 miles every day. Despite the circumstances, I will wake up and run before work and then finish my workout after work.
Hi, my name is Carly Greaves. I live in Lafayette, Indiana. I graduated from Purdue University in 2012 with a bachelor's degree in English Lit. I've worked with children on the spectrum since graduation. I worked for 3 years as a paraprofessional for an elementary student diagnosed with autism, and for the past 2 years, I've worked as an ABA therapist. I'm currently in my third semester in Ball State's Applied Behavior Analysis program. I don't really exercise. Work keeps me moving all day. And besides that, and taking my dog for a walk once or twice a day, that's about the extent of my exercise. I need more of an incentive than health and getting fit to get me to the gym.
Hello, my name is Brittany Keep. I live in Kinsman, Ohio. I graduated from Penn State University in 2015 with a bachelor's degree in Human Development and Family Studies. I'd like to say that I stumbled into my passion for autism when my nephew was diagnosed in 2012 when he was 3 years old. I became more interested in it and knew I wanted to make a career helping the individuals on the spectrum and their families. I was originally a nursing major, so I switched majors and continued my undergrad journey. I started to learn more and more about the field, and then I interned at the agency I am currently employed with, Vocational and Psychological Services. I work with the children on the spectrum by providing behavioral interventions in the school as well as the home and community. I also facilitate social skills groups 4 days a week to 6 and 7-year-olds on the autism spectrum. I am currently in my third semester at Ball State University. I do not devote much time to exercise, unfortunately. I am on the go with the children at work all day, then I come home to my 3-year-old little girl as well as our 2 dogs. We walk our dogs daily, but our walks are only around 20 minutes. The gym is out of the question for me due to my life schedule right now. However, I am able to get more exercise in at home. I just needed more motivation, such as a buy-in to get me going and keep me going.
My name's Sammy Joe, and I'm going to be talking about the literature review and the purpose of our group project. So the purpose of our project is to evaluate the effects of intermittent prize reinforcement on meeting STEP criteria. And there are multiple studies that support the efficacy of self-monitoring and intermittent prizes on increasing activity levels. One study discusses self-monitoring and weight loss. The study reviews 22 different studies that were focused on self-monitoring weight loss. A variety of self-monitoring methods were used. For example, the internet, electronic digital scales, and paper diaries. Paper diaries were the most common method of self-monitoring. Some of the self-monitoring was of dietary intake, and other self-monitoring was of exercise occurrence. A significant association between self-monitoring and weight loss was found consistently through each of those 22 studies. Then another article called Effects of Fixed Ratio Schedules of Reinforcement on Exercise by College Students discusses response contingent reinforcement and whether or not it influenced the increase of cycling of college women. So the study used college women in which some were enforced to a video that reinforced the cycling. A baseline condition was not exposed to a video and rode the cycle until they were too tired or until they rode for the full 45 minutes. The second part of the experiment, money was offered as a reward following a certain number of rotations on the cycle. There were no significant differences for people who observed the video clips as reinforcement. But, however, the monetary reward did increase the time spent riding for over half of the participants. So money was a higher a high reinforcer for most of the participants, and they ended up riding the cycle for longer. Another article discusses 2 behavioral techniques to determine the effects of the subject's adherence to unsupervised exercise. So there were 35 moderately fit subjects who just completed an adult fitness exam, and 42 individuals who were recruited through the campus newspaper. Participants were randomly assigned to one of 3 conditions. The conditions consisted of self-monitoring, reinforcement supplied by another person, or control. Each person received instructions on how to exercise, and they were instructed on the exercise for 18 weeks. Self-monitoring subjects kept written records of the exercise. The reinforcement subjects verbally reported their exercise behavior to another person who intermittently distributed rewards. The reinforcement group and the self-monitoring group demonstrated a higher frequency of exercise per week than the control group. There was little effect on the subjects who were already regular exercisers. So the people who were held accountable for their exercise and given prizes increased their exercise per week, and also the people who self-monitored, so they were writing down what they did and could see their own progress. Another study assessed the effect of previously untested reinforcement strategy of a 1-month free membership on attendance at a fitness facility. The participants consisted of paying members at a fitness facility, a placebo, and the reinforcement condition. The control condition received no intervention. The placebo condition received a letter by mail, and the reinforcement condition received the same letter by mail, but it included a paragraph that instructed them that they could earn 1 month free membership if they attended the fitness facility at least 12 times in the next month after receiving that letter. The attendance was monitored for 1 month of baseline and post-intervention by using the facility's computer system. So every time the people walked in and out, they would check in the computer system, so they would have that attendance logged. The results from the computer system revealed that the reinforcement condition had the best attendance during the intervention period. The results of this study demonstrate the positive association of reinforcement and one's willingness to exercise. So when there was an incentive of getting a free month, then people were more apt to showing up and going to the gym those 12 times. The study that we chose to replicate assesses the influence of low-cost interventions on increasing physical activity that are needed to prevent obesity. So the study that we replicated had 11 healthy adults wearing Fitbit step trackers for 3 weeks. During baseline phase 1, subjects earned a prize for simply just wearing their Fitbit band. During the intervention phase, percentile students were used to calculate individual prize draw criteria, and the final week was a return to baseline. The results of the study that we chose to replicate were that 4 people increased their step count per day due to the intervention that they used in the original study. We chose to replicate this study to evaluate the effect of the intermittent prize on the prize reinforcement on meeting the step criteria. So our purpose was to assess the effect that the prizes had on our very own step count by the Fitbit measurement tool. The results of our study will be described later on in this presentation. Thank you.
For our study, we had 3 participants, 3 young, healthy women, ages 25 to 27 years old. All three are graduate school students. The 3 participants were Sammy Jo Knoll, Brittany Keep, and Curly Greaves. The settings varied by participant and were located in Lafayette, Indiana, West Lafayette, Indiana, and Kinsman, Ohio. The materials necessary to complete our study were Fitbit accelerometers. These devices measure movement on the X, Y, and Z planes. The device is capable of being worn on clothing such as a pocket, shoe, belt, or wrist. The Fitbit includes technology to sync activity data to either the Fitbit.com website or the Fitbit app through Bluetooth from a distance of up to 4.6 meters. The Be Active Your Way guide was another material used to complete our study. We used this 28-page guide that was published by the United States Department of Health and Human Services to, each participant had a copy of the guide. The guide instructs adults ages 18 to 64 years old on ways to increase their current physical activity levels. Each participant was neither forced to read the guide nor were they to discuss the guide with the researchers. Then we used 2 apps throughout the study. The first app we used was the Fitbit app, which is available on iPhone. We use this app to sync the participants' daily number of steps to determine who would receive raffle tickets. The second app we used was the Raffle app, which is available on iPhone as well. We used the Raffle app to determine which prizes would be rewarded to each participant by simulating a physical raffle ticket and raffle drawing. Each prize was determined by the either baseline or intervention phase. Finally, we used Google Sheets. Google Sheets were used to keep a spreadsheet of each participant's daily frequency of steps. We used Google Sheets to keep it all in one area for quick visual analysis of results, and because Google Sheets each participant would have access to. The behavior that we tracked was physical activity. We defined physical activity as the physical number of steps taken as recorded by the Fitbit accelerometer device. Physical activity was measured by the number of steps taken per day from midnight to midnight. We collected data for each participant by having each person text their step count to the other participants each day after midnight for the previous day in a group text. This group had all participants in it. These self-reports were then verified when the participants synced their data to the Fitbit website or Fitbit app. The data was then uploaded every 3 days, and each participant's step count was recorded on a Google Sheet spreadsheet to compare progression throughout the study and to graph data points for visual analysis. During the baseline phase, each participant was to have their Fitbit accelerometer. They were to check in every 3 days to charge their Fitbits and upload their data. During baselines 1 and 2, the reinforcement was in the form of daily prize draws with the Raffle app, and these prize draws were contingent only on wearing the Fitbit. 50% of the prizes during baseline were drawn and corresponded only to verbal praise. The other 50% of the raffle tickets corresponded to small prizes worth up to $5. During baseline, the participants were given the 2008 Physical Activity Guidelines as published by the United States Department of Health and Human Services. The participants were to attach their Fitbit to their clothing and were instructed to wear the Fitbit for the entirety of their day. At the end of every day, the participants were to submit their total steps to each other via text as a means of inter-observer agreement. Every 3 days, the participants would submit their total steps to each other via group text as a means of inter-observer agreement. Every 3 days, the participants would charge their Fitbits and sync the data to collect daily step data. Each participant's daily step count data was collected and then put into a Google Sheet spreadsheet. Each participant then compared each other's synced Fitbit app data to the Google Sheet spreadsheet to ensure treatment fidelity. For every day the participant wore her Fitbit, she would draw one ticket using the raffle app to determine which prize she would be rewarded. During intervention, the participants were again expected to wear their Fitbit accelerometer at all times of the day. Again, the participants would submit their total steps for each day to each other via the group text as a means of inter-observer agreement. The participants rewarded themselves with self-selected reinforcement rewards. If the steps had increased over time, prizes were then based on a dollar number value determined by the raffle app. Each participant compared each other's synced Fitbit app data to the Google spreadsheet to once again ensure treatment fidelity. Every 3 days, the participants were still expected to charge and sync their Fitbits to collect data. As for the results, Brittany's results were during baseline 1, Brittany averaged 2,061 steps per day. Her range during baseline 1 was from 1,412 steps to 2,578 steps per day. During the intervention phase, Brittany's average increased to 4,756 steps a day. Her intervention phase ranged from 1,824 steps to 7,848 steps. Brittany's visual analysis showed an increasing trend during the intervention phase. With Brittany's return to baseline, an increase in daily steps was noted from both from both baseline 1 and through the intervention phase. Her return to baseline averaged 6,796 steps a day. Her return to baseline ranged from 3,099 steps to 10,090 steps per day. Brittany's visual analysis showed an increasing trend throughout the entirety of the study. For Carly's results, Carly's baseline 1, she averaged 7,152 steps per day. Her baseline 1 range was 3,691 steps to 10,439 steps per day. Carly's intervention phase, the average increased to 9,459 steps a day, and the intervention phase ranged from 6,921 steps to 10,685 steps per day. Carly's visual analysis showed a slightly decreasing trend throughout the intervention phase. At Carly's return to baseline, a decrease in daily steps from intervention was shown, but it was an increase from baseline 1. Carly's return to baseline showed an average of 7,814 steps a day and ranged from 7,173 steps to 8,546 steps a day. Carly's visual analysis showed an increasing trend throughout the entirety of the study. Finally, Sammy Jo's results. During Sammy Jo's baseline 1, she averaged 15,875 steps per day. Her baseline 1 range was 12,086 steps to 18,709 steps. Sammy Jo's intervention average increased from baseline 1 to 16,894 steps a day, and the range was from 3,792 to 24,203 steps. Sammy Jo's visual analysis showed a decreasing trend throughout the intervention phase. The return to baseline showed a decrease in average daily steps from both intervention and from baseline 1. Sammy Joe's daily steps during the return to baseline decreased to 12,514 steps, and her return to baseline range was from 5,558 steps to 19,346 steps per day. Sammy Joe's visual analysis showed a decrease in trend throughout the entirety of the study.
Participants in this study were all 25 to 27-year-old female graduate students. Among the 3 participants, only 1 participant, Sammy Joe, baseline average daily step counts were above the CDC's recommendation of 10,000 steps. The other 2 participants, Carly and Brittany, average baseline daily step counts were below the CDC's recommendation of 10,000 steps, with the average of 4,607 steps daily. During the intervention phase, 2 participants, Carly and Brittany, average steps fell below the CDC's recommendation of 10,000 steps, but this showed an increase of 7,108 steps, while 1 participant, Sammy Joe, averaged over the 10,000 steps recommended by the CDC, averaging 16,894 steps a day. Although the average steps for the 2 participants, Carly and Brittany, did not average the CDC's recommendation of 10,000 steps, the results still showed an increase in their overall steps during the intervention phase. Whereas 1 participant, Sammy Joe, showed a decrease through the intervention phase compared to the baseline phase. 2 participants showed a decrease in steps when returning to baseline, Carly and Sammy Joe. 1 participant showed an increased daily steps from intervention and baseline 1, averaging 6,796 steps a day. Overall, 2 participants, Carly and Brittany, showed an increasing trend throughout the study, while 1 participant, Sammy Joe, showed a decrease. There are several advantages to increasing step count through behavior change management, using positive reinforcements such as prizes as done in this study. Behavior change management requires an objective measurement and that we are reinforcing the appropriate behavior, which is the steps counted. Next, it requires frequent reinforcement of the desired behavior. Last, it gradually allows for an increase of the behavior change with regular access to the reinforcement. Limitations to this study include: 1 limitation to this study was there was no verification of Fitbit actually being worn. Participants could have asked a more active person to wear the Fitbit or even put the Fitbit on a dog or another animal, although we do not suspect that was the case during our study. We had no way to authenticate who was producing the data. In future research, they might consider looking into different measures to verify participants wearing the Fitbit. Another limitation is one participant in the study works out more consistently than the other participants did prior to beginning, so there was no significant results from her baseline to the intervention phase. If there were more active participants and the steps were set at a higher count, there might have been a change. Future research could have looked into having more active participants to even out the active and inactive participants. Another limitation is participants were all females relatively close in age, 25 to 27 years old. It is possible that the results could vary depending on age and sex of the individuals. For example, ages 25 to 27 is a young active age. If there are more older people included in the study, the results could have been more reliable. Future research could have a variety of males and females of different ages. These are the three factors to consider when replicating a study similar to this one. Future studies might consider making the recommendations to have different results. In summary, the replication of this study shows that buy-in for behavior change and in fact does promote a behavior change.